We're the ones your mom said to watch out for. We're the ones that you have to hide your daughters from.
Everybody's gonna want to be an outlaw biker.
Labeled by authorities as the most vicious outlaw biker gang in the country.
Bottom line is I will be your best friend or your worst enemy. If you step on my toes and don't apologize, I'm gonna confront you.
They are the Mongols, and they're like no other gang.
They have a code of conduct, an expectation of each other that they will suffer no slight.
Who the f are we?
We have a kind of a mantra that's respect few, fear none.
I had to pull my knife out and cut her loose to get her up. She couldn't get up.
They will take on any challenger, no matter what the odds.
I'm gonna get up and keep coming at you until I can't do it anymore.
And they will fight to the death to defend the Mongol name.
I'm willing to take a bullet for one of my brothers, and my brothers are willing to take a bullet for me.
These outlaw bikers will be put to the test when they go to war against two of California's deadliest gangs.
What the Mongols will instill in you is that you are some type of super being. Doesn't mean you won't die. It just means that you, your person, your being will live forever.
Commerce, California, November 1999. 7 miles east of Los Angeles. 42-year-old Daniel Herrera went looking for his wife at Niños, a local bar. He found her inside, hanging out with members of the Mongols Motorcycle Club, or Mongols MC, and ordered her to come home with him. But Herrera's wife wasn't ready to leave. Los Angeles DA Max Huntsman prosecuted the case.
He used an expletive and said something offensive to the Mongols in the course of arguing with his wife. The Mongols got upset about that.
It didn't matter to them that Herrera, a father of 3, had no gang affiliation. He crossed the line of no return when he'd insulted them.
There is something worse than death, and that is disrespect.
I don't care if you give me respect because you fear me or because you like me, but I want respect, and I'm going to get it in one way or another.
To pay the price for his disrespect, Herrera would come face to face with the Mongols' brutality. Several Mongols, led by Adrian Gutierrez, chased Herrera outside the bar. They cornered him in an alley and savagely beat him. Gutierrez dealt the final blow, digging a knife into Herrera's back until he drew his last breath.
It was particularly brutal. It wasn't just a quick stab wound and they run away or something. It was multiple gang members beating him in multiple places over a fairly long period of time.
The crime bore all the hallmarks of a classic Mongols attack: spontaneous, merciless, and deadly.
What makes the difference between an outlaw biker and some of these other groups, I think, is to the extent that you will defend yourself.
With only an estimated 1,000 members across the country, the Mongols are a relatively small organization. What they lack in numbers, they make up for in bravado and ruthlessness.
Being a Mongol is like having a power greater than you could ever imagine.
We're not trying to be choir boys. We're not trying to be Boy Scouts. I mean, we are what everybody fears.
Members say they belong not to a gang, but a Mongol nation. And they pledge the highest form of loyalty and self-sacrifice to each other. Roger Pinney was a national president and one of the original Mongols.
This was a family deal. That's what the Mongols were all about. One huge family. That's where it's supposed to be.
I will give my life for this club. You know, don't get it twisted. Anybody out there watching this, I will die to make sure that the brother behind me can live, you know?
Formed as an Hispanic alternative to white motorcycle gangs like the Hells Angels, the Mongols have established multi-million-dollar drug smuggling rings, competing with their rivals for a cut of the cocaine and methamphetamine trade. They also smuggle guns and steal choppers.
You know, grand theft motorcycle. And they're very good at it. They chop up the vehicles, they make other vehicles from them, they switch VIN numbers. There's a lot of that.
They're very organized, they're very in control, they're very serious. They have officers, they meet regularly, and they are communicated to what they will and won't do.
Despite the gang's criminal record, the Mongols' current president, Ruben Doc Cavazos, insists that their activities are all above board.
Are there members that do things that maybe, you know, I don't approve of? Yeah, okay, there is. But is it part of a club function? No. Do we try and discourage it? Yes, we try and discourage it.
Cavazos was raised in East LA. In his youth, he was a member of the Avenues, one of the toughest, most hardcore gangs in California. The Avenues are part of a large coalition of Southern California Hispanic gangs known as Sureños. A group whose size grants them extreme power on the streets of LA.
When you grow up in some of these poor neighborhoods, you end up depending on each other, from one gangbanger to the other. It becomes a family to you.
Cavazos credits his early years as a gangbanger for giving him the training he needed to run his Mongol army.
On the streets, it's all about respect, okay, and lack of. Okay, if you feel disrespected, you're going to take up arms or whatever you have to do to gain that respect. And almost immediately, you got to take up a weapon. There's just no way around it. It's survival.
A love of motorcycles drew him to the Mongols. He rose through the ranks and in 2002 took the reins of the club.
When I took the club over, it was known as an East LA club. You know, they want to call it a gang, but it's a club. An East LA club, and we're in just about every state in the nation now. And we're also in Mexico, Canada, Italy, Australia.
As national president, Cavazos began a recruitment drive, bringing Sureño gang members into the Mongols in order to bolster their ranks.
They weren't necessarily as motorcycle-oriented, but they were violent-oriented. So they made good soldiers within the gang and good bodyguards and good criminals.
But many of these Sureños were already controlled by the Mexican Mafia, known on the streets as La M. La M is one of California's most notorious criminal organizations, with as many as 50,000 foot soldiers working for them out on the streets. These foot soldiers execute the Mafia's orders and pay them a cut from their drug trade. When Cavazos started bringing Mafia-connected gang members into the Mongols, he created a web of tangled loyalties. Reporter Chris Blatchford has been covering LA's gangs for 20 years.
And there was some question, well, you know, whose side are you on? I mean, that's when the violence started.
January 2004. The trouble began in Rosemead, California, a small town 11 miles east of LA. La Sangra, a gang loyal to the Mexican Mafia, was running a methamphetamine lab out of a motel room. Profits from the operation were going to the Mafia. Several Mongols who were staying at the same motel let their curiosity get the best of them when they walked by the room.
They saw something they recognized as drug dealing, and they get into a verbal exchange with the gang members who are running the drug lab, and eventually it turns into a confrontation.
After trading heated words, one of the Mafia members pulled out a gun and fatally shot one of the Mongols. Police quickly descended on the motel, uncovering the meth lab. The incident infuriated Mexican Mafia leaders, who lost $10,000 in the bust. They demanded that the Mongols cover their lost earnings.
Mexican Mafia felt that that was an insult to them, that they had lost money had the drug dealing not been compromised. And so they told the Mongols, you owe us some money.
Not only did the Mafia order the Mongols to pay for the lost lab, they issued a bigger, sweeping demand. Because many of the new recruits working part-time for the Mongols had ties to the Mexican Mafia, the Mafia demanded a percentage of all the Mongols' drug sales.
They see these other Latino kids joining the Mongols as people who have affiliation towards them. The Mexican Mafia went, wait a minute, you're selling drugs and you're working with the Mongols and you're kicking back money to the Mongols? The Mongols are going to pay us a drug tax.
A representative from the Mexican Mafia paid a visit to the Mongols' president, Doc Cavazos.
And he says to me, well, you guys need to pay your tío, which is uncle in Spanish. And I said, well, I'm not giving my tío anything. I explained to him that's not what we're about and that we are not giving up a penny.
Cavazos later called together his Mongol army to take a vote that would determine the gang's fate.
I asked him, what do you want to do? Meaning, do you want to pay them? How do you want to handle this? All at once, they just screamed, no, we're not paying them. When they stand up in unity and say, we'll go to war, it's really something because they mean it.
It was a question of respect. Authorities believed it would be a bloodbath.
The Mongols, they don't control the whole system the way the Mexican Mafia does. And the Mexican Mafia is very patient and will wait until its opportunity arises, and then, a lot of people will die.
The Mongols vowed they would never surrender.
And to let you know that a Mongol will always win. A Mongol will always come out on top. I will not lose. If I'm down, I'm gonna get up and keep coming at you until I can't do it anymore.
In 2004, the outlaw biker gang, the Mongols, prepared to go to war with the most powerful gang in Southern California, the Mexican Mafia.
You got to remember, these are two giants. These are two giants that they live on pride and respect. And to ask for one or the other to bow down, it's just not going to happen.
I love to kick ass. I'll come at you with a smile, but I will fight you just because it's cloudy outside. You know what I mean? That's what I like to do.
The Mongols were no strangers to violence. The gang had been at war with their chief rival, the Hells Angels, for decades. It was a war that defined the Mongols' history and who they are today. The Mongols motorcycle gang originated in Montebello, California in 1970, naming themselves after the legendary army of conquerors led by Genghis Khan. In spite of their name, the Mongols had humble beginnings. Barred from joining the Hells Angels due to their Hispanic heritage, a half dozen came together to form the gang.
The original credo of the Mongols that they were guys riding Harleys. That's really the genesis of it.
Like many of the original Mongols, former President Roger Pinney was a Vietnam veteran.
Most of us had post-traumatic stress, but we didn't want to admit it because we wanted to forget about it, and we were like disgraced. We were spit on when we came back in the airport. We were looking for a niche. A lot of these people haven't got families, so it's a family.
At first, their goals were simple: ride together, party together, and rebel against society. But they weren't just friends bucking convention. The gang quickly attracted members with criminal tendencies, and soon the label outlaw stuck to them. Reports of stabbings, shootings, and statutory rape followed the Mongols wherever they rode. As they grew in numbers, the Mongols began to encroach on the Northern California territory of the Hells Angels. Soon, these disaffected war veterans traded one battlefield for another as they went to war over turf with the Angels. It was a fight that started over a black and white patch. A Mongol's proudest possession is a patch displaying their club colors. Worn on their vests, it's split into 3 pieces with their logo in the middle.
Over the top, it says the name of the gang, and on the bottom, it says where they're from.
The Hells Angels claimed all of California as their territory and declared ownership of the state on their patch. Starting in the early 1970s, the Mongols also wanted to claim California and put the state name on their patch. The move infuriated the Hells Angels.
Well, the Hells Angels came to the Mongols and said, you need to take it off. And obviously that didn't go well with the members of the Mongols Motorcycle Club. And they basically told them, you know, F off. That's how the first war started.
Clashes between the two gangs escalated from barroom skirmishes into bloodier and deadlier reprisals.
They're going to go from fighting on the street in drunken brawls to stabbing each other. From there, they're going to go to shooting each other, and from shooting each other, they'll go to bombing.
Nothing would be off limits in the two gangs' fierce struggle for power. Summer 1977. The Mongols held a funeral for 2 of their own killed outside San Diego by the Hells Angels. Just before the ceremony began, someone dropped off a bouquet of red and white carnations, the Hells Angels colors.
He set some up near the deceased and proceeded down the street. Before anyone can do anything about it, the car that he had drove up in exploded.
3 Mongols were injured in the attack. 2 months later, the Angels struck again, setting off another bomb, this time in a Mongol's bike shop in Los Angeles.
Somebody sent a motorcycle tire in there to have a flat fixed. Unfortunately, the only person working was the kid brother of a Mongol member. When the kid was changing the tire blew up. It blew up the whole building and killed the kid.
The Mongols retaliated. At a biker bar in Lemon Grove, California, 126 miles outside LA, 4 Mongols attacked and killed a ranking member of the Angels. Soon after that, the Mongols executed a Hells Angels chapter president. The executions of 2 higher-ups in the Angels organization set off shockwaves throughout the biker communities. In a series of meetings, top leadership came together and the 2 rival gangs made a pact. The Mongols could continue to wear the California patch, but agreed they would not open any new branches in Northern California. The Angels would leave Southern California to the Mongols. After a decade of bloodshed, the brutal turf war was over. But the constant battles had drained the Mongol nation of resources, men, and morale. By the early 1990s, their ranks dwindled to about 100 members, an all-time low.
The smart money was that they were on their way out.
Realizing that they were on the verge of extinction, the Mongols relaxed their recruitment standards to disastrous results. In 1998, an agent with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms was able to infiltrate the gang. For the next 2.5 years, the ATF built their case against the Mongols. In May 2000, more than 650 law enforcement agents raided the homes and offices of Mongol gang members throughout California, Colorado, Oklahoma, and Georgia.
They came to everybody's house and they threw their flashbang grenades and they yanked people out of their homes and what have you.
The operation nabbed 42 gang members on charges of arson, extortion, drug dealing, and murder. The raids failed to take down any of the Mongols' top leaders, and the gang was soon on the rebound, this time coming back even stronger. The ATF bust had been televised throughout Southern California, and the exposure proved to be good for Mongol recruitment.
I think we almost doubled in size. It's amazing how people come to you and want to join.
By 2001, the Mongols were back in business. Their rapid growth had them again looking to expand north, a move that was forbidden by their truce with the Hells Angels.
We wanted to start a chapter of the Mongols in San Jose, California. The Hells Angels were claiming Northern California as all theirs. According to them, that was their territory. We were to stay out of it.
The Mongols ignored the treaty and opened the breach, reigniting the two gangs' long simmering rivalry.
Soon after we started the San Jose chapter, we were having these little skirmishes with the Hells Angels, little boxing matches here and there. After a while, communication was cut off, okay? When one side no longer wants to negotiate or speak, you can bet there's trouble coming.
Laughlin, Nevada, April 27th, 2002. Tens of thousands of bikers from across the country descended on this casino town on the Arizona-Nevada border for the annual Laughlin River Run. The Mongols and the Hells Angels had arrived in full force, but were keeping a safe distance from each other, staying at hotels on opposite ends of the Strip. Until the night of April 27th, when the Hells Angels came looking for a fight. A group of Angels went to drink at Harrah's, the Mongols' hotel. The casino's surveillance camera caught their entrance on videotape. Roger Pinney, the acting president of the Mongols, was on the casino floor with then Sergeant-at-Arms Ruben Doc Cavazos and dozens of Mongol foot soldiers.
I went over to Doc and I says, we need to defuse this problem before it happens, and he said, I think it's already too late.
According to Pinney, hoping he could ease the tension, he ventured into the swarm of Angels, his every move captured on surveillance tape.
And I started to make a communication which started to work, and I was talking to them, and actually we were laughing.
Suddenly, one of the Hells Angels, or HAs, lunged at a Mongol across the casino floor. The two gangs erupted in a sea of violence.
I grabbed a HA to pull him off another Mongol, and I was stabbed 4 times.
Pinney went down, while all around him, Mongols and Hells Angels continued attacking each other with hammers, knives, bar stools, and beer bottles. Within minutes, police stormed the casino and ended the brawl. 1 Mongol and 2 Hells Angels lay dead on the casino floor, and more than a dozen were injured. With Mongol leader Roger Pinney out of commission, Ruben Doc Cavazos seized control and pushed Pinney to the side.
I believed in Doc from the beginning. I was the one that helped bring him in because I believed it was his bull, and now I realize it is bull.
Cavazos was now national president of the Mongols Motorcycle Club. After the bloody fight at Laughlin, Cavazos knew the Mongols were facing a new era of warfare against the Hells Angels. He needed to build up the Mongols' ranks and do it quickly. LA, 2002. After a decade-long truce between the Mongols Motorcycle Club and the Hells Angels, the two arch rivals went to war all over again.
One of them is going to be the victor, and one is going to be the vanquished. And whoever wins, of course, will try to expand their territory.
Mongols President Ruben Doc Cavazos set out to grow his biker army as quickly as possible. The ranks of the Mongols numbered in the hundreds, while the Hells Angels had thousands of members spread out across the nation. Outmanned by their enemies, the Mongols launched an aggressive new recruitment strategy. Doc Cavazos went back to his street gang roots. He began enlisting part-time members with ties to other Southern California street gangs.
And those Hispanic gang members sometimes didn't know how to ride a bike, didn't have a bike themselves. This was a violation of their own rules of conduct.
For more than 30 years, the Mongols had a rule that every member needed to own and ride a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Now, this was being suspended to increase membership. The decision stirred up controversy, and many Mongol veterans, like Tony Vodnik, didn't trust or respect the new recruits.
To me, they're not bikers, they're gangbangers. They call themselves part-time Mongols. There's no such thing as part-time Mongols. You're a Mongol 100% or you're nothing.
Members who joined the Mongols of the past usually went through a long initiation process. They had to learn the gang's rules and its constitution and perform tasks, some of them criminal, to get patched in.
They have patches in which they are rewarded for certain kinds of behavior, and the behavior that they get a patch for is antisocial, violent, offensive behavior.
These patches become part of a Mongol's bragging rights. A red wing for participating in group sex. A Laughlin patch for surviving the 2002 battle. And the skull and crossbones represents violent crime, including murder. Mongol Adrian Gutierrez, who fatally stabbed Daniel Herrera outside Niños Bar in Commerce, California, received one such patch.
After Mr. Gutierrez committed the murder, shortly thereafter he showed up with a skull and crossbones patch. We learned that that was for killing somebody in support of the gang. And that's the kind of thing they take pride in. They're set forth in their bylaws what patches you can get, just like the Boy Scouts give merit badges.
Every patched-in member is chosen for a unique skill he offers the organization.
There may be a guy in the Mongols that's never done anything particularly violent, but he may be a good drug dealer, you know, and he's a money maker of some kind. Maybe he's not a drug dealer, but he has some other kind of scam going that he can bring money into the club. You know, another guy might be a stone killer, and he may be an enforcer, and that's what he's famous for. Each person has a role.
The Mongols also sport tattoos, designed to cement their status as outlaws.
They're out there to commit crimes, and they have these patches and these activities that they do that alienate the rest of the world and tie them in closer to the gang.
For many, the gang becomes a virtual family.
Family was kind of weird for me, so I found it in other areas of my life. And I've never seen a group of people be as brotherly and loving as the Mongols are.
And many members are willing to set aside their traditional family to serve the gang.
This is a family that I'm committed to. Does it mean I distance myself from my real family? No, I don't try to. You have to have some balance in your life, but this is where I decided to put my energies and dedicate myself to.
I coach Little League sports, you know? You would look at me and not think that, but you know, like I said, I'm two people. I'm the dad, the husband, the coach, and then once I leave that part of my life, then there's this life, you know what I mean?
To be a Mongol requires following a strict military-like set of rules. Even with the influx of new recruits, Doc Cavazos insists that the membership guidelines remain mostly the same.
We dictate what you're allowed to wear on your vest and what you're not. We dictate the type of shoes that you can wear, the way you stand, the way you act in public, even your face. You used to have what was called a war face, and that was your face in public. The meaner, the harder you looked, the less chance there was of somebody making a violent move on you.
Just like the Army takes people and tries to get them to change their life view, and the Mongols try to get you to change your life view and become a Mongol.
Who the f*** are we? We are Mongol Raiders, the Raiders of the Night!
Once inside, the gang follows a strict chain of command, with the president and vice president at the top of the organization. Underneath the leaders, there is a secretary, treasurer, and a sergeant-at-arms, followed by other specialized positions.
I'm what they call a club enforcer. When there's people out there who don't really agree with what has to be taken care of, I make sure that they agree with it. I don't take no for an answer.
Doc Cavazos leads his men like an army at war. He keeps frontline units at the ready for any crisis.
We have response teams that are standing by in case there's a problem in any bar or restaurant. If there's a problem, they are to go in there and either save the member that's in trouble or else eliminate everybody who's caused them his death, okay, if that's the case.
Cavazos also runs an intelligence unit that gathers information about rival gangs.
I'll dress differently, and when the Mongols are headed to a bike function, I would enter it ahead of time, and I will mingle. And I will mingle and find out who's there, what clubs, what people. And I will not let on that I'm a Mongol. It's part of our intelligence. So it's very much like the military.
The gang also uses a coded language. After one murder, the Mongols issued an internal alert to evade the police.
They put out what's called a Code 55. They told all their members in the area not to wear their colors, their vests that show the name of their gang, not to go out openly, not to carry weapons when normally they do carry weapons, and to avoid contact with law enforcement. That's the kind of organized criminal enterprise that allows them to function in the way they do.
At the core of the Mongols organization is the credo that every member must live by.
It doesn't matter who you are, we don't fear you, okay? And basically, the idea of training these Mongols, recruiting them and what have you, is for them to live by that. They should fear no one, you know, not even death.
From 2002 to 2004, Doc Cavazos' recruitment strategy dramatically increased the gang's membership.
Gotta love them.
There were now several hundred Mongols operating on the streets of California. But these new members would put the gang's future in jeopardy and pit the Mongols in a life and death struggle with the mighty Mexican Mafia. January 2004. In order to fight its war in California against the Hells Angels, the Mongols Motorcycle Club was building up its membership. The gang was expanding in size and reach, but its new method of recruitment was backfiring. The Mongols' leader, Ruben Doc Cavazos, had welcomed members of LA's street gangs to join them as part-timers. But many of these recruits had ties to La M, or the Mexican Mafia, Southern California's most powerful gang.
So you have a dichotomy. You can't serve two masters. Either you're a servant of the Mexican Mafia or you're a servant of the Mongols. And you can't be both, and that presented the problem.
The Mafia was now demanding that the Mongols pay them a percentage of their drug profits as a form of tribute, and repay the $10,000 they lost when some Mongols caused the bust of a Mafia meth lab.
It's just never going to happen. The Mongols will never pay anybody. The Mongols will never give anything up to anyone.
Yet the Mongols didn't seem to stand a chance against the Mexican Mafia's vast army of 50,000 soldiers, who police consider the most lethal gang network in the world.
They're probably the most active gang and most prolific at killing. They control the streets.
Authorities learned about the imminent war and, hoping to settle tensions without a body count, tried to warn Doc Cavazos to back down.
Sheriffs used to pull up in front of my house and they used to say, "What are you going to do now, Doc?" You know, meaning, man, you guys, this is going to get ugly, this is going to get serious. And I used to almost be disgusted in that question. What do you think I'm going to do? You know, we're going to stand our ground. We're going to tell them all, screw you.
After a series of meetings between the Mongols and the Mexican Mafia fell apart, both sides prepared for war. La Mirada, California, March 2004. Shortly after nightfall, a gunman pulled up to this tattoo parlor, frequented by the Mongols. He withdrew a machine gun from his jacket and opened fire before speeding away. The shop owner was killed and a Mongol was wounded. The Mexican Mafia had drawn first blood and things quickly heated up.
If you shoot one of our guys off his bike, we're going to come at you with everything we have.
Whatever it takes. Wherever your imagination can go. I would be a soldier for this club no matter what.
The Mongols became targets everywhere they went, and gun battles erupted all over East LA.
We would be on the freeway, and a black SUV would get on up ahead of us, and when they'd pull up next to us, it would open fire on the motorcycle.
There's people shooting at you. There's people trying to, throw you off the road, throw you off your bike.
And we gave it back to them. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm not acting like we're just the victims. We're not. When the time came, we gave it back to them.
The attacks hit closer and closer to home until the Mongols' own headquarters turned into a battle zone.
Our clubhouse would be constant shootouts. It was like the Wild West. Somebody would drive in there. We had one guy drove right in there on a bicycle, on a mountain bike, and opened up on the clubhouse with a fully automatic.
Meanwhile, the Mongols were still embroiled in another war with their arch rivals, the Hells Angels, or HAs. The Angels ramped up their own attacks, and Doc Cavazos dodged assassination attempts by both groups.
We had members of the club who would come to my house and start my car up for me because they were afraid I was going to be blown up. And they would check underneath it with mirrors. And about that time, they found several sticks of dynamite underneath one of my cars in my driveway.
As the pressure mounted, some of the Mongols betrayed the gang credo, respect few, fear none, to save their own skins.
It got so bad that I'm told that a lot of Mongols were not wearing their colors around town because they were afraid that the Mexican mafia would see those colors and they would send somebody to kill them.
When the war broke out with the HA, we lost maybe 2 or 3 members. When the war broke out with the M, we lost about 20 members.
Many of the Mongols' old guard openly blamed Doc Cavazos for the bloody siege. They said that if Doc hadn't recruited part-timers from Sureños gangs, they never would have been at war with the Mexican mafia. Cavazos responded by forcing dissenters like veteran Roger Penny out of the gang.
It's just when he realized people weren't happy with what he was all about. He kicks them out, which he has kicked out more people in his time of reign than the whole club has been together since the beginning of time. And this is a prime example of what's going on right to this day.
The war was tearing the Mongols apart, but Cavazos refused to cave.
Well, if a shootout is what somebody wants, a shootout is what we'll give you. It got to a point where the characters who were originally involved, moved out of their homes, okay, because, I guess they feared that Mongols were coming by their house all the time.
The Mongols were managing to stand their ground. But with 2 ongoing wars and growing dissension within his own ranks, Cavazos faced an uncertain future.
I don't even want to say what might happen to this man. If he ever gets locked up, he's gone. The man is gone.
The Mongols were holding their own in a 2-fronted war with the Hells Angels and the Mexican Mafia. By December 2004, the Mafia was looking for an end to their conflict with the Mongols.
I don't think anybody really wanted a war. The Mafia just wanted their piece of the drug action. But people were getting killed.
A representative from the Mafia approached reporter Chris Blatchford, hoping to send a message to Doc Cavazos.
He told me basically that Doc was going to be a dead man if he didn't start playing ball with them.
Through his reporting, Blatchford served as a go-between, and the 2 sides sat down together. In a closed-door meeting, representatives of the Mexican Mafia and the Mongols struck a deal to end the war. No one outside of that meeting knows what was agreed, but members of law enforcement believe a payment was made to end the bloodshed.
I think everyone involved kind of realized, this is not going to go anywhere nice.
Yet growing conflicts within the gang itself still challenged leader Ruben Doc Cavazos.
There's a faction in the Mongols that don't think that Doc Cavazo is a real hardcore biker. They see him more of a politician and a manipulator who surrounded himself with some thugs that take care of him and sort of watch his back.
Many of the old guard Mongols were thrown out of the group for questioning Cavazos. They accused him of weakening their organization by filling it with part-time gang recruits of dubious loyalty.
I said, what's going on here with Doc? Part-time Mongol. If you have a bike, you earn that patch, you ride, and you act like you're a biker. You act like you conduct yourself as a biker.
There's, I'd say, hundreds of brothers would like to come back, but they're never going to do it as long as Doc is in control, because they're not going to put up with it. We just have this, as far as I'm concerned, disease right in the middle of there still.
But Doc's recruitment strategy appeared to have paid off. The Mongols had built up their ranks and endured a war with the powerful Mexican mafia. The long-standing feud with rival biker gang, the Hells Angels, also seemed to be cooling off, with charges pending against both sides from the violence at Laughlin. The gangs fell into an uneasy peace.
These guys are all tough guys, but, they also want to live a life. I mean, I think that, bad choice of words maybe, but I think there was a feeling there, to bury the hatchet.
The leaders, they don't want war. Nobody does. It's stupid. Our passion is riding motorcycles. It becomes difficult to ride your motorcycle when someone's trying to shoot you off of it.
The battle may have died down for now, but animosity between the Mongols and Hells Angels runs deep.
Here's the deal. You put a Hells Angel in front of me and he's got a ball-peen hammer in his hand, I'll shoot him. Straight up. I will have no problems with it.
Keeping the club ready for any battle, Cavazos continues to build his membership.
What the Mongols will instill in you, what they'll start teaching you from day one, is that you are some type of super being, okay? It doesn't mean you won't die. It just means that somehow or other your person, your being will live forever, okay? And they teach you that you don't back down, okay? And you don't disgrace the club.
Cavazos is confident that the new generation of Mongols has what it takes to live up to the gang's core beliefs of demanding respect and fearing nothing.
To be honest with you, you want to be known as a rough, tough, always willing to defend yourself club.
For Mongol members, a willingness to fight to the death is what being a Mongol is all about.
I'll live for my brother, I'll die for my brother, I'll take a bullet for my brother. That's just the way I live.
I've been shot for this club, I've been stabbed while I've been in this club, I've been to prison for this club. And, a lot of people, they don't understand. But you know what, I have people that love me and care about me that aren't going anywhere. The club is always there for me. And on a personal level, that's what this club means for me, and that's why I'm willing to sacrifice for this club.
I know there's something wrong with me to actually want to do this, But I think that's what makes it, special, though. No one wants to be harassed by the cops. No one wants to be shot at. No one wants to be assassinated. No one wants all that. So there has to be something inside you to be here.
Even with the danger involved, the appeal of the gang shows no signs of letting up.
I think the public is readily available to accept the myth about outlaw biker gangs, that they're pretty neat guys on the open road on bikes, boom, 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 boom. But if you ask what crimes they've committed, I think everything, murder, extortion, drug dealing, rape, the list goes on.
The Mongols, it seems, are here to stay.
We won't stop coming. We're the Mongol nation. We will continue to do what we do no matter what. No matter who tries to stop us. The last time they tried to stop us, we got bigger. So every time they try to stop us, we're gonna get bigger.
Dave. There's a bunch over here. A bunch over here. There's these guys up here waiting for something to happen. Oh, shit's gonna hit the fan.